Hello, and welcome to another episode of I'm Still Playing. As you can see, today I am a young female, AI generated agent. This is a new feature being offered by Descript, the online service I pretty much only use for adding captions to my shorts. But given the topic of today's video, I thought it might be fun to actually try it out. This way, we can all cringe on the brink of the uncanny valley together. So, as the tech lead at Robot Entertainment, one of the things I'm doing on a daily basis is evaluating various AI tools to see if there are ways in which I can use them to make my job easier. Now, before we go too much further, I just want to say I'm keenly aware of the various moral and ethical issues around the generation and use of large language model AIs. But for me, as the technical lead of a game development company, it is literally my job to stay on top of and be aware of this growing technology. And besides, I've literally spent my career creating AI for games, so I'm also just super interested. So, as I was failing on my 120th pull for Jane Doe, and the deadline on her banner was drawing near, I got to wondering the same thing that I'm sure all of you have wondered at some point. What is the absolute minimum I can spend at the store to ensure I bring this character home? I had previously created a spreadsheet to help with this, where I put in my current values for the various currencies and how far along I am on the current banner, and it would tell me the exact total number of polychrome I needed to get to the first S-rank character, and then how much more I would need to get to the guaranteed character, assuming I failed the 50-50, which I always do. But while this got me most of the way there, it couldn't do the hard job of optimizing a purchase plan. And I thought, this is exactly the sort of thing an AI should be able to do. And so I set about doing just exactly that. And the results may surprise you. For my experiment, I used Gemini, Google's LLM. I've used both Copilot and ChatGPT, but in my experience, Gemini has been providing the best results. I started off with asking it how familiar it was with gacha games and pull mechanics. And as it turns out, Gemini knows a lot about gacha games. It was quite familiar with concepts like banners and pulls and limited characters. It went on to describe in detail all of those mechanics, even spelling out pity systems, talking about 50-50 mechanics, and even going so far as to describe the various kinds of banners you might find. So I'm like, great. And then I told it what I wanted to do. And this is where you really need to be careful and precise. I explained that we're going to make a pull calculator. I would give it information about how much of the various currencies I currently have, how far along I was in the current banner, and it would tell me how much currency I needed to get to the next character, and how much I would need to get to the guaranteed character. But then I went on. I also told it I would provide it the information about the store, describing each of the bundles currently for sale, and which bundles I had the first-time purchase bonus on, and given that it would provide me information I needed to make an optimum purchase strategy. And Gemini's reply pretty much reassured me that it did, in fact, grok what I was wanting to do. It gave me a little positive affirmation about how useful this tool was, and then went on to describe in detail all of the various pieces of information it would need. It then explained what exactly it would be providing from its side, and ended with a nice little comment on how it's looking forward to helping. Now it was my turn to step up to the plate. I needed to provide the information it needed as concisely and clearly as possible. I broke it down into 3 sections. First were the game parameters. How many pulls were in the hard pity count, the cost in currency per pull, and my current 50-50 status. Then I gave it my quantities of all of my various currencies. I made sure to delineate between pull currency I had earned in-game and hard currency I'd acquired from the store. Finally, I specified the store values. I explicitly told it I would provide them in a comma-delimited list format and name the columns. And then I provided the values. And this prompt seemed to work really well. First, it took all my input values for the game and currencies and calculated a pull power, how many pulls I could make with my current currency. Simple enough. It then took the store bundle values and converted them all to hard currency per dollar amounts. With that information, it then produced a dollar value to get the guaranteed character, given my pull power, as it knew that I was already past the 50-50. It then, on its own initiative, provided me with a second scenario, the amount of money it would take to get a current guaranteed character, and a subsequent featured character, assuming I lost the 50-50 on that character. So for instance, if on the current banner I had wanted Jane Doe and Vivian and lost the 50-50 pulling for Vivian. I didn't ask for that, but it provided it anyway. You don't want to know how much that was, but it had in fact produced what I wanted. Now, asking the AI to do this is all well and good, but I wanted a general purpose tool, something I could use anytime I wanted these values, similar to the spreadsheet I had made. So again, I carefully constructed my prompt and asked if we could do that next. And Gemini happily replied that it could. It explained the inputs I would need to provide, that it would use the store bundle data, perform the calculations, and produce a result. And then it provided a complete Python script to do just exactly that. It also provided instructions on how I could get close with a spreadsheet, but was quick to recommend that the Python script was the better approach. Now I'm already set up to run Python scripts in Visual Studio, so I copied the script over into my workspace. It ran the first time with no compilation errors. I entered in each of the values according to my current banner situation in Wuthering Waves. Hard pity count, cost per pull, the whole 9 yards. And out it popped with a suitable answer. But here's the thing, I noticed that for the strategy of determining what bundles to purchase, Gemini was essentially just selecting bundles in order of best value per dollar and accruing them until it got the currency amount I needed, which was a viable strategy. But that wasn't really what I wanted. What I wanted it to tell me was what was the least amount I could spend to get the currency I needed, while accounting for packs that I had bonuses on. So I asked it to fine-tune its strategy. Gemini was again happy to make the refinement. As you can imagine, this solution would require quite a bit more iteration, which is why I never did it in the spreadsheet. But Gemini laid out an approach, explaining in detail exactly how it was going to go about it. I reviewed its algorithm and it was sound. It then produced a new script with the modified results. And after that, it explained in detail the modifications it had made to accommodate for the changes. Again, I cut and pasted the script into my editor and ran it. Again, it compiled and ran without a hitch, and it worked perfectly. I now have a general purpose tool that anytime I want to know exactly what it's going to cost me to acquire the next featured agent on a banner, given where I am right now in pulls, currencies, and 50/50, it will tell me. And that's pretty amazing. I'm always polite to our AI overlords, so when I was all done, I let Gemini know that its solution worked perfectly, and thanked it. I got a chuckle as it wished me happy pulling, and may the 50/50 always fall in my favor. Maybe there's something to this AI thing after all. And that's going to do it for this episode of I'm Still Playing. I haven't put the final script up for general download, but if there's interest in it, I can certainly do so. Just let me know in the comments below. And if you found this video useful, you know what to do. And remember, whatever you're playing, play hard. Until next time, cheers!